Hello, welcome today. This is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. I am Jonas Holdeman.
And I'm Elizabeth Corbett.
And I want you to know that if you don't believe in God, you're not alone. Right here in East Tennessee, you can find free-thinking atheists and agnostics. This is a show for them and for people committed to a life rooted in science and unfettered by supernatural beliefs.
And on today's show, we'll be speaking with some remarkable students from the Secular Student Alliance Club at Lenoir City High School.
But first, I want to tell the viewers about our show sponsors. The Atheist Society of Knoxville frequently has a fun meetup at a bar or eatery. Tonight's meetup is at Barley's in the Old City, starting around 5:30. Look for the silver-jacketed copy of The God Delusion standing upright on the table. As Matt Dillahunty at Atheist Experience said, everyone is welcome to our happy hour for food, drink, and conversation. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. That was your line.
It was.
Okay, well...
I can read the next part if you want. The Rationalists of East Tennessee have several regular monthly meetings. The first and third Sunday mornings of the month are usually lectures with lively roundtable discussions. The second Sunday we hold the Skeptics Book Club. On the fourth Sunday we are mixing it up. Sometimes with a get-together we call a reflections meeting. It features a potluck lunch in someone's home. Sometimes we meet to play board games, watch a movie, or similar activities. Over the Labor Day weekend, we had a convention of free thinkers with nationally known speakers such as Matt Dillahunty.
Later in the show, we will give you our websites to visit for additional details, including times and locations. But first, in the news. However, I don't have a lot of news except that, as we'll learn later, last night I got an email from Heath Allen, who is trying to get a Secular Student Alliance Club started at the L&M STEM
Academy.
STEM Academy. And so we will give you some more information about that later. Okay, so today we have guests in the studio. From the Secular Student Alliance Club at Lenoir City High School in Lenoir City, Tennessee, and guest host Elizabeth Corbett.
Well, thank you, Jonas, and hello, students. I'm so glad you're here with us today. Could you take a minute and introduce yourselves?
Okay, well, I'm Joel Matias, and I'm the Vice President of SSA.
I'm Tyler McCoy, and I'm the President.
And I'm Jacob Isbell, former club member. And one of the four that helped start the club.
Okay, so the four who started the club then would be you, Aaron, Alan,
and David.
Cope, and David. Okay, and all have graduated now. Yep. So they join our hero list. Okay. I first became aware of the Lenoir City High School SSA Club in mid-November of 2014, Elizabeth, when you wrote to the RET board, for help in the matter of Christian or secular prayers.
No, they were Christian.
You call a spade a spade. At the Lenoir City Board of Education meetings. You were then president of the Teachers Union. Are you still?
Yes, sir.
At the bottom of the email you added, good news, I'm advisor to the recently formed Secular Student Alliance. We'd love to have a visitor at meetings. Well, then later you wrote, we've had a good turnout for the SSA, 6, 7, 8 vocal and interested students. We kind of need some direction. I am swamped with other responsibilities, like fighting back school administration, and have given the kids a safe place, but not much more. I don't have much time to give the group discussion topics or to look online for projects. I think they would be They would like to be a presence on the campus, but they're not sure how, and we've been working on that.
Yes,
One
we
boy
have.
in particular comes willing to discuss issues with which she's grappling.
And I will say, I don't think my life has changed very much since then. I think I'm still like swamped, and you do a lot of the stuff for the club.
Okay, then, okay, that was in mid-November of 2014.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
And then, 2 years ago now, almost, on December 1st, 2014, Alan Cape wrote, "Hello all of RET. I am Vice President of the Secular Student Alliance at Lenoir City High School and would appreciate it if you can get Lee Erickson to email us about joining our club sometime. Thanks from all of us at SSA. Given the events at the high school 2 years earlier and conversation with other teachers in Loudoun County, I thought you were very brave and still are. The club was speaking up for the teachers to the Board of Education. I don't know whether there are many others who would do that. So the club was started by students. But then how did you get involved?
One of the founding students came to me and said, "Are you willing to be an advisor?"
I think I should tell this story.
Okay, go right ahead.
We were trying to find someone to sponsor the club because you have to have a teacher sponsored so that you can have a room to do it in. And we originally went to our psychology teacher, or one of our psychology teachers at the time, and he kind of thought on it, and he was like, "Ask Miss Corbett." And I think she happened to walk in that room that exact moment when he said that, and she was like, "I'd love to."
Isn't there an expression called "speak of the devil" as image appears?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
And so that's how Miss Corbett became our sponsor.
We filled out some paperwork that we needed to do, and it was approved by the board, I believe.
I think Aaron said
Aaron, yes.
that he contacted the Secular Student Alliance
Okay, yes.
about affiliation, and I think he created the Facebook group page. So it was the program was student initiated, and we would like to be able to step back, but we feel that sense of providing some ideas if needed.
Well, I think, students need some direction in the sense of what to do. I mean, the possibility of what sorts of projects might be feasible. There's plenty of conversation about things, but a lot of the times it's just hard to get things going, and adult guidance is good.
It's not easy to organize and promote and administer a club, a group of people, when your past experience is probably very self-centered, as your parents would tell us. So I think there's a great deal to be learned about developing leadership and learning how organizations work, and I applaud you for taking on this task. Now, so we kind of know how Jacob got involved. I guess you and the others were just talking among yourselves and got the idea, or?
I think one day David just blurted out the idea, "Hey, let's start a secular student alliance at the school." And we were all like, "You know what, that's a great idea." And so we already know what Aaron did to help start the club. I'm pretty sure I was the one who sent the email to administration about it, so that we could talk to them to get it approved. And Alan was just kind of there to help, and so was David.
Okay.
Yes, because I remember getting an email from Mr. Orr saying that you three had gone and spoken with him and that I had agreed to be advisor, and I said, yeah, that's true. And I guess it took us a while. I mean, we didn't find out till this year that we didn't have a constitution. We were supposed to have one because I was asking Mr. Orr about it, and he didn't know where it was, but
I think we tried to make one, but we got lazy. And it just never happened.
So anyway, we've been this year checking off the various
responsibilities,
things.
huh?
Yeah. So how did you two find out about the club?
You want to go first?
Tyler told me about the club, and I was wondering about it. And then on Panther Day, I came, I saw some books, and he told me more about it, and I was interested, and so then I joined.
And then I came freshman year, which was last year, to Panther Day, and I just saw that they had the God Delusion. And then, were you meaning to? Yeah, he was meaning, and like, I don't even remember exactly what was said, but it was something like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, when do you meet? And then eventually showed up. I was like, oh, I like this. And
Panther Day is a day at the beginning of school when all the clubs putting out trifolds and things to attract freshmen to their clubs. So we've been at Panther Day, I guess, for 2 years now.
Well, at least the club is not shrinking. But
not at all.
I asked this question because it's a problem. How do you get the word out to other students who might be interested, who might be on the fence, who are curious, but kind of concerned about how family might and other friends might react to this?
well, at least in my account, a lot of the times whenever people ask, oh, well, because I wear the shirt, because we have the emblem on the chest, and they'll ask, oh, well, what is it? And I'll explain what it is. And they're like, oh, that's pretty cool. So I basically say, if you're interested, you can stop by anytime. I tell them whenever we meet. And then anyone that I know, if they ever, raise an issue or oh, I wish I had somewhere to talk to, I'm always like, oh, we have a club for that.
Yeah, and I know some friends that were also kind of on the fence on religion, and so I told them that because they have super religious families, and so then I was telling them about SSA, and they were interested, and it was kind of a safe place for them, so they don't have to get when they want to talk about things like that, they don't have to get bombarded by other people's beliefs, and so they were interested and they joined.
Yeah, it's I think probably a problem to get secretly involved because the meetings are after school, other than talking with others during the school day, because the school is kind of located kind of out in the boonies, out by the interstate, and so most students must either come either by school bus or have parents transport them. So it's not something you can do without awareness of what the parents are doing.
Yeah, that was part of the reason that Aaron couldn't come, is because he didn't have a ride.
Who?
Aaron.
Oh.
I know a couple of kids, if they're afraid that their parents might find, they're like, oh, go in the club. It's like, oh, well, what do you do in the club? And then if they're afraid, their parents are going to get mad, upset about it, and then they'd simply, describe everything else that we do other than the actual core fact that they're afraid. Because, kind of what happened
Yeah, with John, because John's parents found out, and his mom said he couldn't do it because it wasn't part of their religion. So that's why he's not here today also.
Yeah. So this brings up the topic of being in or out of the closet, and when, where, and with whom. So a person might be more open at school, but then have to shut down all of those interests when they go home.
Mm-hmm.
So are your parents comfortable with your participation? Or?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
My parents actually encouraged it, just because they were like, oh, that's a pretty cool, well, because I was describing it to them, oh, it's a good place to talk about it, because a lot of times my mom ends up working later, and then my dad's always busy doing something. So it's better to have more time to talk about issues that normally you just wouldn't bring up to other people.
Yeah, I think that the meetings this year have been taken up by business, getting the Constitution, electing officers under the Constitution, projects and so on, and haven't really had much time to sit down and discuss philosophical kind of ideas. But I would hope you would be able to get to that aspect later on as well.
I was going to say, I remember someone said once to me, like, well, what you all really need to do in your club is just be like any other club, in the sense that, you know, you sit and chat for a while, you have some business, you do service projects, you elect officers, and, you know, you're a group of like-minded folks pretty much who are coming together around a topic. And you know, I mean, I guess we are a special club, but we're no special than any other club in the sense that, you know, what we do is what other clubs do. So,
okay, go ahead.
No, nothing.
So I guess I have on my notes here to ask about relations with other students, how you relate to them, how you might relate to members of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, which I remember when one of the first meetings I attended, I asked that question because I had been concerned about this. Some years previously, I had been director of a children's summer camp called Camp Quest of the Smoky Mountains, and we had kids coming from all over the country, and they were relating some pretty unfortunate experiences in their schools, and so I was wondering, well, what do you find at Lenoir City High School? And I think the only negative response I got was from one of the girls. I hadn't learned the names. Who said, well, that there'd been some static from football players, but that had pretty well subsided. So what does the word secular student alliance, what does the word secular mean to you? What do you think it might mean to others?
I just think just non-religious.
I normally think just open-minded, accepting of other people, and just tolerance and human morality above anything else.
Just the pursuit of free ideas.
Okay, there's kind of the dictionary definition of words, and then there's the way that they are used. For instance, if we use the word atheist or we say non-theist, they should both mean the same thing, but one carries a lot of color.
Negative connotation.
Yes, a negative connotation. You're right, Joel.
Yeah, when surveys have indicated that, at least prior to the advent of the Muslims on the scene, that the atheists were the most hated group in the country.
I think we still are.
The Muslims must come in second.
Pretty
now.
close second, yeah.
But at the same time, there is a large percent of the population that regards themselves as nuns, that is, not affiliated. There may be cultural Christians, but maybe not practicing and so on. So if you were to describe yourself, I mean, like I was talking about atheist and non-theist both mean not theist. But other people find ways to identify or to call themselves, like nuns, N-O-N-E-S, secular humanists, naturalists. Brights is another term that was.
I don't know what that is. Brights? Do you guys know
I
that?
heard that.
I don't know what that is.
Okay, well, we'll have to get into that another time.
Okay.
But basically, it's another name. It's supposed to be kind of a positive term
Okay.
for non-theists. And agnostics is something. Agnosticism is something that many people claim. It says, well, I don't really know, and that's more acceptable than the A word. But there's also a category of theists and deists. Do you know what deists?
Deists believe in supernatural power, and theists believe in a more centralized religion, and then a deist could believe in just a natural God, created everything, and then just let it be, and just a multitude of different beliefs, but they don't necessarily all group themselves together with one another, except in the fact that they believe in supernatural powers.
Yeah, that's true. Many of the founding fathers of this country were deists, and they held to the philosophy that there was a God. I mean, it's the old idea of first cause, that there was a God that created the world and established the natural laws and so on, and then stepped back to let the world run itself. And so this is not a God that would be worshipped and prayed to. I mean, after all, I should think that any being that felt self-confident in their abilities doesn't need worship and praise. So in a way, then the deists are sort of fit in this category as well. So, anything else you want to add to this kind of topic?
Do you guys get any pushback or flack at school from other students?
I don't really know.
Okay.
I think we had some when we first started it, because I remember, there were a lot of people going on about they didn't like the idea of the club, which we completely expected. I know we got a bunch of flyers from the SSA, and we put them up, but what ended up happening was a bunch of people would end up just tearing them off the wall and throwing them away, which wasn't nice. I think there was actually one instance where somebody, just this hero, somebody tore one of them off the wall and tore it in half, threw it in the trash, and someone took it out, taped it back together, and put it back on the wall.
Yeah, I think a lot of high school is like that, because at least in my experience, I don't deal with as many people that are so against the idea of an atheist. And, oh, well, that's crazy. I mean, quite a few people that will openly be agitated towards you just because you don't believe in a god or their god, depending on how far they go with it. Yeah. But a lot of the people in school, they're pretty accepting, because a lot of them you grew up with. And so they're like, oh, you're like that, and they get used to it, because at least for me, it happened during middle school whenever I realized that I was an atheist.
Yeah, I was around 8th grade for me.
I think it just makes people uncomfortable because it's such a foreign concept. You've been raised your whole life by your parents being told that this is true, and if you don't believe it, something horrible is going to happen to you. Yeah. And then you're surrounded by people who believe the same thing and continue to reinforce that idea. And then suddenly this one single person comes along and challenges that idea, and you don't know what to think, you don't know what to do, and it makes you uncomfortable.
But it makes a point that it may be acceptable to challenge these ideas. Yeah. And so that's where you can make a very important contribution, not persuading someone, but at least letting
Sowing
them
the
know that
seed.
it's acceptable to think along these lines. Because in certain Christian denominations, to doubt is itself a sin. We're here today in Studio A at down in downtown Knoxville, and we have more capabilities and facilities at our disposal in terms of cameras and what can be done artistically. But one of the limitations is that we don't have the ability to accept phone calls and talk to callers on the air. But we do have someone, Freethought Forest, who is dutifully out by the telephone. And if you would like to call in and dictate a question to him, he will bring it in and we will try to address whatever questions you might have. So, those of you who remember the number to call, call in, and we will see what we can do. Okay, so the question that I had raised earlier dealt with how do you reach out to other students who might be curious or interested in the club, and you have to have some kind of communication. Well, we have different ways of different vehicles for communication. One of them is the if you go to the school website and look on activities, at a certain point it will say clubs and other activities, and the clubs are listed. Well, at the start of the school year, although the club had been in business for some time, it was not listed. And so we had
You've done a lot
someone
with that,
who, would you claim credit for that?
right?
I mean,
Tell us what you've done.
I mean, I went and I brought a lot of stuff that we talked about during meetings there, and you did a great job of like articulating it together and putting it into words, and then you fixed a lot of the grammar mistakes. But basically, I mean, since a lot of the events that's happened with the, what was her name? The editor.
Oh,
Soon
Crystal
as-
Myers.
Crystal Myers.
Mhm.
And then the staff, I forget his name. I know it's in here. But it's okay to be the guy
Dr.
who...
Yokley,
Dr.
James
Yokley, yes.
Yokley.
Ever since that, the administration and a lot of the staff has been more accepting. And then we've also had a lot of new staff that's just in general been more rational and just heard us out. So we brought it up, I think, you or I that brought it up. I brought it up to her initially because we had talked it during the meeting. She was like, oh, I'm sorry. And then had to go through some extra things because it hadn't been edited yet after they had actually put it on there.
But the first
time.
was, it was put on Secular Student Alliance, and the only link was to the sponsor
Oh,
with a thumbnail picture. I mean, on the big screen, no bigger than the size of your thumb.
Yeah.
so we fixed that.
So then
thumbnail.
we started trying to get a little bit more.
I think now we have the definition, group photos, and then when the meetings are, which is every other Tuesday, if anyone's
like group
listening.
links.
Yeah, we have the Facebook page.
No,
The group. My bad, the group.
not on the school
I thought we had it on there already.
club page. In fact, see, I looked at that, and there were a number of things that were. Okay. I can't multitask in my thoughts.
We have a Facebook page.
Yeah, we'll get to this in just a minute, but there were things that were left out.
Yeah.
There was no contact.
I had talked to Miss. I don't know when the last time you looked at it, but she had like trouble, like especially with the just because she was looking at it, she's like, I kind of didn't understand what to do. Then I went there and I talked to her, and then she put in more things. I thought we had the contact on there. It might have been updated recently.
Oh,
depending on when the
okay.
last time it was.
I've looked at it in the last couple of days
Okay.
and didn't see that. Now, the school, in their wireless
Yeah.
Wi-Fi, blocks Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you can't
We can't have a link. Yes.
see it at school.
Yeah.
But there's no reason why it shouldn't be on the club page, because people can watch it at home.
Yeah.
Do you recall what our Facebook address is?
I don't remember the exact address. I know if you type in LCHS,
LCHS,
it's okay.
LCHS, Secular
Secular Student Alliance.
Student Alliance,
yeah,
maybe?
you'll get it.
And
Yeah.
it,
The
it'll
name is
get you there.
LCHS.
But it's LCHS, yes.
Yeah.
It's not Lenoir City, yes.
Okay, the message is that Dale is watching, and he says, congratulations on their club.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so there are different avenues to try to establish ways to contact you. And Riv, could we have the first one? This is the Secular Student Alliance listing. The club is affiliated with the Secular Student Alliance, and there are 34 high school clubs in the United States that are affiliated, and that is a rather small number. In the surrounding states, there are about 9, and this club is the only one in the state of Tennessee. Mm-hmm. There was one a few years ago. Anyway, if you type in your browser secularstudents.org, it will take you to the Secular Student Alliance National Organization, and that organization provides a lot of help. You mentioned that you got brochures and probably some pencils or something, or
Flyers.
Flyers, just flyers, I think.
and advice and help, and if you need it, they'll provide some legal help. They also provide ways to for projects you might involved in, things of interest that might help you conducting your club. I hear over in the background that Forrest and Riv are working on trying to get this slide up, but from there, if you go to that site, there are 2 links. One takes you to the Facebook page, where all of the club activities are documented, and the other takes you to the school club page. So we see that anyone visiting has a way to get to the club page, and if they got to the club page, we would like to have an email address. We do have an email address, folks.
Yeah.
Lenoir.hs at secularstudents.org.
Yeah.
And if you send email, the email will be redirected
To me, and then I'll get back to that whenever I get it.
Okay.
So that's Lenoir.hs at
secularstudents.org.
Okay.
Okay, so it's not on there, but if you go, eventually we will have it. If you okay, we'll get to the philosophical things in a minute. Eventually we will try to get that link. So a student who might be interested in the club can go to the, scanning the list of clubs, can find how to contact. But they could also just come to a meeting if they can find out when the meetings
Well, we
are.
usually announce them.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
announce them.
okay. Every other
We have-
Tuesday.
We have announcements at school and
In the morning.
in the mornings, and usually our meetings are on Tuesday, and usually Friday, Monday, and Tuesday. I put an announcement in. And
So if anyone's curious, they can just drop in and
Oh,
see
yeah.
what's
Yeah.
going on.
Oh, yeah.
It won't condemn them to hell or anything.
And we've been doing some cool things.
Yeah.
You want to talk a little bit about what we've been doing?
Let's get through
No?
through
Okay.
this first. Okay, so if from secularstudents.org you go to the Facebook page, you can find out just what the activities are, and kind of on the right there's hidden kind of a link that allows you to click on that and go to the club page. And now, kind of up in the middle in very small letters, there's the email address. So, and the group page is available. Anyone can look at it, but only members can post to it. Okay, and then the third vehicle for communication is the club page. And that's what we will be working on, trying to, from the club page, being able to get back to these others.
Yeah.
So we kind of close the loop there. The caller asks, if you don't believe in a religion, what is your drive, motivation? Well, we could talk about that if you want to.
It's a difficult question because
Well, look, turn it the other way. If you do believe in a religion, why do you believe these authorities telling you what to believe?
well, look at it this way: if there is a God who has this almighty plan for you that's perfect and cannot in any way whatsoever be altered by anything, and he has a set plan for you, then what is your drive to do anything other than doing what you're already going to do anyway, because you have no control? It's not about what drives us to do things, it's about
Why?
where we expect to go with them. Sometimes we just want to see where it goes, where the river takes us.
I think more than anything, a lot of it has to do with yourself. You want to impress yourself, or you want to impress a friend or a family member, or you just want to see what you can do, like you were saying, where the river goes.
But over there, I have a sheet that talks about secular humanism and the various principles. And these are things that people have kind of written down that provide guidance in their lives. So we can just pick one of them. Read the first one, first principle there.
For Jacob.
We are committed to the application of reason and science to the understanding of the universe and to solving of human problems.
Hey, what's controversial about that?
Yeah.
I mean, okay, how about the second one?
We deplore efforts to denigrate human intelligence, to seek to explain the world in supernatural terms, and to look outside nature for salvation.
Okay. That would seem to provide some motivating direction. So anyway, secular people, non-theists, non-believers, and so on, still have the moral principles that have been developed by our culture, but also through our evolution and our need to work together with other human beings.
I was going to say, just because you don't have a religion doesn't mean you don't have morals.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think we all, as human beings, look to better our community or be nice to other human beings, and I don't know. I mean, I'm like, well, I don't know if I need a God to tell me that.
Well, I think what's funny about it is that when you look at prison statistics, I think atheists only make up about 0.02% of inmates in the U.S. So, and I think more than 75% of them are Christian.
Yeah. Well, my skeptical nature makes me wonder. These are people who don't have a great deal of freedom and are perhaps inclined to kiss up to whoever is going to maybe help them out a little bit. So I accept your explanation, but I raised my skepticism.
Do you have any? Oh, oops, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I see if Joel had anything.
Yeah.
He wanted.
Oh, yes.
Did you want to say something about like where your drive comes from or your motivation, or?
I mean, I just want to do with what I'm given, so.
Okay.
Well, we've let time slip by, and so now I want to take on the program break. In case you're just tuning in, this is Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee. Freethought Forum is funded jointly by them and by individual contributions.
Shows are live most every Tuesday from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern on Knoxville Community Access TV. Television channel 12 or 194, depending on your local cable network. Tell your out-of-town friends to see us streaming online at ctvknox.org. Okay,
see us streaming on ctvknox.org. You can watch us there. Today's show is live on November 29th, 2016. We don't have our telephone connection in the studio, but you can call in on the number on our screen and leave a question for us. While we take a short break, please watch these informative videos about our sponsors.
Do you find stories of talking snakes laughable? Do you prefer the scientific method over supernatural beliefs? Are you concerned about religious leaders and organizations imposing their values and rules on your body, your family, and the rest of our society? Well, take comfort in the fact that you're not alone. The Rationalists of East Tennessee meets weekly for fellowship and provides a forum for people who support skeptical thinking and rational discussion of these and other issues. To find out more information or to find out about our next meeting, visit us on the web at www.rationalist.org. If you live in or around the Knoxville area and are questioning your religious beliefs or simply believe in one less God than everyone else, well, you're not alone. The Atheist Society of Knoxville is a fun and friendly group of people just like you that meets twice a week at a bar or restaurant. We meet every Tuesday night following the show at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria for happy hour. You'll find our group either inside or on the patio. Look for Richard Dawkins' silver-jacketed book, The God Delusion, standing upright on the table. On Fridays, we meet at Agave Azul or the Beard and Beer Market. But if you plan to preach, proselytize, provoke, or punch, please don't. We all question what we believe at one point in our lives. If this is the time for you, come join us for food, drink, conversation, and fun.
Well, we are back at Freethought Forum, and I'm Elizabeth Corbett. And I have with me some students from the Secular Student Alliance at Lenoir City High School. Can you introduce yourselves again, please?
Yes, ma'am. I am Joel Batias, and I'm the vice president of SSA.
I'm Charlie McCoy, and I'm the president.
I'm Jacob Isbell, and I'm a former club member and one of the four who helped start it.
Okay, before we continue, let's wrap up our break here. The Atheist Society of Knoxville, or ASK, meets 2 times a week. We have evening meetups for fun, food, drink, and conversation. Find us online at knoxvilleatheist.org. The purpose of ASK is to supply a venue for community, camaraderie, and outreach to atheists, agnostics, freethinkers, and other like-minded persons in East Tennessee area. Our Tuesday meeting is going on right now at Barley's Tap Room and Pizzeria in the Knoxville Old City. Recently, some of us helped out with the RET Adopt a Highway pickup on Pellissippi Parkway near Pellissippi Community College.
And our second Sunday of most months is the Rationalists of East Tennessee Skeptics Book Club. The title of the next book that we're reading is Don't Sleep, There Are Snakes, Life and Language in the Amazonian Jungle by Daniel L. Everett. Sunday, December 11th at 2 p.m. The public is invited to participate. You don't have to have read the book to attend, but of course it helps. Visit our website, rationalist.org, to find the rest of the calendar of books and join us at a new location, Books A Million, 8513 Kingston Pike, Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay.
Back to our program, huh?
Elizabeth, the onus is on you now.
Okay. So, you all, Tyler, I know you mentioned about the God delusion, and that is a well-renowned book among the humanists or secular population. So where did you get the God delusion, and could maybe the three of you explain what you think that means, or could you explain it to people who are unfamiliar with it?
I bought it, but I didn't read it.
Okay. Well, Tyler, you mentioned it.
I've seen it, and I had it as an ebook. I read, I don't remember how far it was because it's been years, but I read it on my spare time, but I didn't end up finishing it. And at least to me, like, as Richard Dawkins was going through it, he was explaining, I don't think I had even reached the middle, so my commentary isn't necessarily all that accurate as to what the whole book is about. But at least in the beginning, he more or less explained why he was an atheist and his problems with a lot of religions. I mean, have you read it, Joel?
No, I haven't. I've just watched people like Armored Skeptic who have spoken about people who are wondering what's up with all these atheists or free thinkers.
And what's the Armored Skeptic?
He's a YouTuber.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that.
He doesn't do that kind of stuff much anymore. Very, very rarely, just because it's kind of like an old thing on YouTube.
Well, have you all read anything else, or?
I read a little bit of.
I wanted to say that has maybe kind of helped you formalize your thoughts, or formulate your thoughts, or solidified some beliefs about atheism for you?
I read about a third of A Universe from Nothing by Lawrence Krauss, and which was, up to the point, it was really hard to understand, but when you're trying to go from a position of being incredibly young and not understanding a whole lot to basically becoming a physicist, it gets confusing. But it was a really good book to me because it did a really good job of explaining everything.
I mean,
okay.
At least for me, I don't end up reading a lot of books just because it's easier to listen to something and then end up doing your homework at the same time.
Because you're a busy high school student,
yeah,
too.
especially a high school student that's also kind of really lazy and only reads if it's a project and they end up a big chunk of the grade. But I mainly listen to things, and a lot of, I think it's called, Neil deGrasse Tyson's talk show. It's a talk show, but I remember listening to that a lot. And he went into depth. It wasn't necessarily always about atheism, but a lot of the things he went into was reaffirming and just actually somewhat demolishing some of the reasons. But he would often talk about a lot of things that would end up happening, like evolution. I know he talks about quite a bit. And then he also talked mainly about biology, and then how materials came together. But that coupled along with documentaries and then just YouTube videos like The Armored Skeptic, where I know you have The Amazing Atheist, and then you have a lot of other YouTubers. I think Cold of Dusty also does a lot of things with atheism. in
Call of Dusty.
Cult. What is it called?
It's cold.
Call
It's
of
called. It's one of the two, but that mainly helped me as far as solidifying myself and being like, this is who I am.
Okay. Do you all, I guess, I mean, Joel, you're just a freshman, and Tyler, you're a sophomore, and you have graduated, but how do you see, like, maybe humanism or atheism involved in your plans after high school, or where are you going to school now?
I'm not going to school right now, but
Okay.
I'm hoping to start at Pellissippi in the spring so that I
good.
can
Okay.
take some criminal justice classes.
Okay. And what do you guys see yourself doing after high school, maybe?
I mean, I intend on going to Purdue and eventually becoming an aerospace engineer and then traveling the greater civilized parts of the world, just working for companies.
Well, anything you say now, Joel, is going to seem really, really small ambitioned.
Well, I mean,
I want to be a police officer, so you might get away with it.
I want to I see myself going on and doing computer hardware engineering.
Looks like I lost this one.
I don't know. As far as like affecting though, I mean, like after high school, like you end up going to college, and you just, if you end up having kids or just your family and younger people in general, as you get older, you want them to be able to learn from what you ended up going through.
Yeah.
So, at least in my opinion, I'd rather the world change for a more peaceful, just welcoming, tolerant society than some of the societies that we have now.
Reinforce ideas.
Yeah.
And could one of you maybe talk a little bit about what we've done this semester?
But quickly, because of time's running out.
Okay. In our club, what have we done just recently?
Did the birdhouse.
Yeah, we did the birdhouse.
Okay,
And we
talk
had
a little bit more about that. What do you mean we did the birdhouse?
Okay, well, we started this project to build birdhouses, and we've already got one set up on our school campus. So
Yeah. Johannes brought the parts for it, and then we assembled it in school, and then got permission to put it up by the principal.
Yeah, it's a bluebird house. Bluebirds were native to North America, and their habitat was destroyed by the settlers and invasive species they introduced. But we have to, time marches
Okay.
on. So it's time to start wrapping up things up. If you would like to contact us before the next show, get out your pen and paper, and we will give contact information in a moment. This has been Freethought Forum, a program by the Atheist Society of Knoxville and the Rationalists of East Tennessee.
You can give us feedback by voicemail at 865-272-9060 or by email at freethoughtforum@yahoo.com.
You can see this show on Tuesdays from 5 to 6 p.m. Eastern Time on this Knoxville station or online at ctvknox.org.
The opinions expressed on this show are of the hosts and guests, not any official opinion of the Ask or RET. We would like to thank Leah and Riv for technical support, the staff at CTV Knox, and all of our viewers and callers.
Well, you read that very quickly. We have 17 seconds left on my script right here. I said, if you at the last page it says,
Sorry.
if you get to this point, don't panic. Well, we never got to that point. So, time flies. Thank you for being on the show, and